What is something you did that increased your quality of life so much that you wished you would have done it much sooner because it changed your life forever? Making decisions based on what I really want, not on what I think others want or expect of me. It was always so easy to put others' needs first because it meant that I never had to take the trouble to figure out what I really wanted or to negotiate with others to get it. Just go along with everyone else. That's easy and makes you likable. But it doesn't make you happy because it means your needs are often not being met. The real turning point for me was the realization that wanting something does not instantly equate to a decision to go out and get it. Verbalizing a desire is not tantamount to forcing your will on others. For example, if someone asks you what you want to eat, instead of saying oh whatever you want, I don't mind, there's nothing wrong with stating your preference, saying that you're open to other ideas, and entering into a negotiation to find some common ground. People actually appreciate you being clear about what you want. It makes things easier for everyone. For bigger stuff, once you realize you want something, sit with it for a bit. Then ask yourself, how moral do I think my desire is? Can I proceed without damaging my integrity? What are the practical/other ramifications for myself and others? Can you live with whatever decision you make? If you are missing vital information from others, ask them for it to help you decide. Most importantly, don't waste time wondering about whether you're allowed to want something. You do already, so that's that. Just acknowledge the desire, then set about deciding whether you're going to go out and get it. That way, even if you decide not to, you'll know what the desire is and why you're not fulfilling it, rather than shutting it down automatically at the source. I'm so much happier now! Exclamation mark. Edit. Wow. I made this comment, went to bed, and woke up to platinum, gold, silver and 11k upvotes. Thanks everybody so much. Some people below have asked what turned me around, how long it took, etc. There is definitely a story, so I'll tell it below for some context. I'm a born and raised Australian, and had been living in the Netherlands for 4 years. Life was getting me down, I'd lost my boyfriend, wasn't enjoying my work, and there was stuff about Holland I didn't like. So I decided to move back home, and began making plans. One thing I did to prepare for the move was stop working in-house and start working freelance. Also great advice Imo. This actually solved about 80% of the problem. After that I was pretty happy again, and had no real desire to leave. But I had told all my family and friends I was coming back, and I felt like I would be disappointing them by changing my mind. I didn't actually ask them or talk to them about it, I just assumed that was what they thought. So, with a sense of dread in the pit of my stomach, I went anyway. Back in Australia, I quickly became depressed, anxious and sick. I was sleeping all the time, didn't enjoy my hobbies anymore. I even got exhausted singing. I had been a choral tenor for about a decade. There's a comment below about living someone else's life. That's exactly how it felt. So I sought help from a psychologist, eventually figured out what had happened, and decided to go back to Holland. That fixed it. The day I returned was one of the most glorious in my whole life. I felt so happy and exhilarated and ready to pick up where I left off. At some point during all this I thought, if I'm capable of uprooting my life because of what I think others want me to do, then something has to change. Being a people pleaser might start with dinners and movies, but it can end with emigration. That's fucked. Fortunately, the solution works the same way. Starting with the little things will help you work up to the big things. Once the switch is flipped, once you realize how important it really is, it will affect the millions of tiny decisions you make every day, and your life will gradually start shifting in a different direction. Sometimes I'm annoyed at myself that I had to go through all this to make the change. On the other hand, I now know how to recognize how I feel when I'm going against my wishes just to please other people, and can take steps to avoid having to go through it all again. Thanks once more for the overwhelming response. I wish everybody all the best. TL. Doctor, I emigrated based entirely on what I thought others wanted, and realized that was not a healthy way to make choices. Working out and eating right. Getting a job I didn't hate. I'm so much happier now, even though I'm making one half as much. Eating veggies. My mum rarely fed us veggies. and we had constant digestive issues. As soon as I moved out on my own I started eating veggies, and have rarely had an upset stomach since. It was literally daily agony eating nothing but meat and carbs. Learning to always keep my keys in the same place. Applying for a job I didn't think I was qualified for. It doubled my salary and let me move to a place I'd only ever dreamed of living in. As a kid I read books all the time. Then I quit for some reason. Got married, had kids, started a business. Never any time for reading. Last year, at 45, I started reading books again. What a fool I was to ever stop. Regulating my alcohol intake. Paying attention in general to how my body reacts to what I introduce it to. Admitting that I needed a therapist. As a teenager with strict parents, if I was caught saying anything against them, I was automatically grounded, so I couldn't let out my emotions, and I felt like a double agent in my own house. With a therapist, I could work through my problems without the risk of being in trouble. Keeping a guitar pick in my pocket, so that I can scratch my testicles in public discreetly. I had a decayed wisdom tooth with an exposed nerve, and I lived with it for 10 years, when I didn't have dental or disposable income. My life changed the day I had it pulled. If there's something wrong with your teeth, find a way to get it taken care of. I spent a decade in pain, whenever I drank something cold, or chewed on the left side of my mouth, and I could have had it corrected much sooner, if I'd had my act together. Taking fiber supplements. I now shit like clockwork, twice a day, and even after a night of drinking, I have never had more than a 3 wipe to clean. I'll never go back to not taking them. The quality of my shits has just been absolutely magical. I wish I knew of this sooner. Tried for a month, you'll never want to stop. No more peanut butter in a shag carpet, no more mud streaks, no more wiping yourself raw, it's life changing. Stopped assuming that people's thoughts about me were at all similar to that extremely critical voice in my head. It's still somewhat of a struggle to stay positive, but, overall, being yourself and staying present when with others really reduces anxiety. Peaceful would be a good word to describe it. Not being afraid to admit when I'm wrong. For years, I was obsessed with being correct about everything. This semester, one of my professors said that it's okay if we are not experts in the material yet. From then on, I've actually been better at admitting when I do not know an answer, or saying the wrong answer in class without cringing/hating myself. Trying to be friends with everyone to the point you have no true friends with anyone. Took me a long time, because I love to help people, but the people who use you abuse you, and the people who don't need you don't ever care to see you. It's still hard right now though. I don't have any close friends, but I somehow feel more comfortable than before. I still want to do something to help, but I decided I'm going to start recycling, go on walks to pick up trash, and concentrate more on myself for once. If I'm ever meant to have a best friend they will find me, I guess. Sometimes it's hard not having someone to speak to, but I'll get over it eventually. If someone asks me to do something, and it will take me 5 minutes or less to do it, I'll do it immediately. It doesn't sound like a lot, but I never realized how much stuff I put off until later, and then promptly forgot about. Also, once you've done one 5-minute task, it's easier to just go and do the next. I became much more productive, and saved myself a lot of time and effort at the same time. I got a lot of houseplants to put all over my house. Makes my home environment look beautiful and feel homey, fresh, and just all around better. Edit: if you have any pets, make sure to look up what plants are safe for your furry friend before purchasing a plant. Honestly, shaving my head. As someone who started losing hair at age 20, had the old monk bald spot by 23, and horseshoe by 25, it took me until 29 to say fuck it, I'm shaving. I have a lot more confidence, and have gotten compliments BC of it. I started drinking at a young age mostly because I was shy and introverted, and it helped me come out of my shell. It was a way to be able to talk to people. It became a crutch. I've had some great times, but since I've stopped drinking at the late age of 64, I'm beginning to feel so much better and wonder How different and more fulfilling my life could have been if I'd just tackled my insecurities when I was younger rather than turning to alcohol. 6 years ago I decided to never be late to anything ever again. My whole life up until that point I was always late to everything, school, birthdays, etc. Anyway, making sure I'm on time saves me a lot of trouble and a lot of stress and anxiety. Also, everyone I know who has noticed it really appreciate it. Being on time for plans shows that you care about people and that they are important to you. Buying all the same socks. No more folding, no more matching, no more looking for missing sock brothers. Just throw them all in a drawer, reach in, grab two and get your day started right.